good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey gifted crafters, welcome back for another Saturday CrafterNoon. Thank you guys all for tuning in today. I'm really excited to have you here because I really do need your help. So if you caught my Facebook post this morning, I'm looking for some help and I'm looking to see if you guys can help me to decide on a couple of things. So before we get to any of that stuff, let me just say hello to a few friends that I see out there. I see Crafting with Robin, Donna Phillips, Jackie Hallman, Jenny Owens, Judy Bauer, Linda M, 1 Minute Tips, Robin's Quilt Basket, and thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. So we've got a few things going on because it was a pretty chaotic week for me. It was like anything that could go wrong was going wrong. It was just kind of like one of those weeks. So I am happy that the weekend is here and I'm in my craft room and I'm able to kind of de-stress a little, but having some issues even in my craft room. And I see that Robin's Quilt Basket is having some computer issues as well, as what I read in the chat right before we went live. So Robin, completely understand. I'm right there with you, but we're gonna get through it. So let's just keep going. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time and you're kind of lurking around, feel free to jump into the chat and say hello to a couple of friends out there because this channel is all about crafting. We talk about things from sewing, quilting, decoupage, every kind of craft. We like to kind of dabble in a little bit of everything, and I like to share tips, tricks, and ideas and things for you guys in case you have a little Etsy shop or maybe you have a little craft show coming up or just looking for a gift, right? We just like to share all kinds of tips, tricks, and ideas to get you guys going and get those crafting juices, kind of lighting up so that we can get going with some ideas out there. So go ahead and jump in the chat, share some of your tips and trips. Let us know if you even have a YouTube channel on there. Please put it in the chat because we like to support one another. So I'm a girl that loves the holidays. And so we've got a couple of holidays out there. So I would like to look at those holidays that are not typically on your calendar, although we know that this weekend it is going to be Labor Day on Monday. But today is Zoo Awareness Day, and we also have Trail Mix Day. So for those of you who like those trail mixes, or maybe you want to support your local zoo, maybe take the grandkids out for a stroll, you can kind of support your community that way. So I see, Donna says, I hope everyone has a great holiday weekend planned. Yes. So do I. Alrighty, now Donna, you're looking at this balloon wall hanging behind me. Yes, and that's definitely one of the things that I want to talk about. So you may have caught a little bit of a video that I kind of did while I was stitching it out. So this wall hanging is by a design from Pearly Gates. And it was a design that I picked up a few months ago. Didn't really get it around to doing it until now. I was looking for just the perfect fabric to put it on, which was this sky fabric here. And I was really excited to finally be able to find that and get that. And then I have a Brother SC1900. And with that machine, I was able to embroider. The biggest hoop size on that is 5x7, but I was still able to embroider the balloons along with the saying. And the design itself has several different sizes. So if you have one of these larger machines, if you're lucky enough to have bigger hoop sizes, they have bigger balloons that you can embroider. And the embroidery on this was with mylar, so I did use some mylar, which is why you see a little bit, not sure if the camera does it really well, but it has a little bit of that shimmer and shine to it, which is really nice. I think it really helps the design to kind of pop out. You don't necessarily have to use mylar. You can just stitch it out as a regular design. I did show some of those, I think it was last week, with some samples, so you can kind of scroll back to that, because this is live number 105, so look up for live number 104. I think that's where I showed the different ones on that. So let's see. I've been kind of struggling with this, not so much for the embroidery piece, and I did lay out where I wanted the balloons to go. I didn't want it to be so symmetrical. I tried to kind of scatter them to make it look like some were further away and some were closer away from the actual center. But today I want to talk about borders, and let me just kind of turn here a little bit so you can see a little bit more of this. So I added some borders on here, and I was a little bit iffy on the type of border that I was going to put it on, because I did spend a lot of time trying to find the perfect fabric for this design, which was the clouds, which I was looking for. And I wanted to kind of give it the illusion of someone who is looking outside their window and seeing the sky with all the balloons on there. And so that's why I chose this black border that I put around. Right now, everything is just pinned down. I still have not sewn it because I need your help on this. So I went ahead and cut out the borders. They're about 5-inch strips that I cut out. You'll still see some of the chalk marks on here. I haven't taken that off just yet. Just need to spritz it with some water, and then the chalk will go away. But I went ahead and I embroidered the borders itself. The way I did it, this is not an edge-to-edge design. This is a motif that comes along with the design that you purchase from Pearly Gates. You know, they give you the motifs, they give you balloons of different size hoops that you can make, and different sayings that you can have as well. But this is not an edge-to-edge quilting motif. This is something that I kind of eyeballed a little bit and tried to kind of give it the illusion of an edge-to-edge quilting. So that's why you see a lot of these chalk lines here, because basically what I did was I took the design itself, and I knew the design, if I remember right, it was like 3x7 on the design, and this is a 5-inch border. So I wanted to leave space on the edges so that I can then bind it, right? And it'll still be centered. And then because I knew it was 7 inches, I wanted to find the center point of that motif, which was basically 3.5. And then what I did was I found my center point on my border, and then I just took the chalk and I drew lines every 3.5 inches going down the border. What that allowed me to do is that when I put the border onto my hoop, I knew that my center line, I started off with my center, needed to be lined up in the center of the hoop in order for the center of the design to hit that mark. And then I knew that my design would end at 7 inches, so I just left maybe about a 1/4 inch. I kind of just eyeballed it a little bit, so did leave some spacing in between, and then all I did was go ahead and, using the chalked lines, I was able to line up the next piece and you go ahead and embroider that, and then so on and so forth. So I just kind of continued that method on all 4 borders. You can see these are the vertical ones, but they also give you the horizontal as well. So it was a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I think it came out pretty good. I am going to add a little corner motif that they have, and I'll put that on each of the corners. But then once that was all said and done, I kind of wanted to get a feel for what it was looking like. So I went ahead and I pinned the borders along with the design itself. And I'm still a little iffy if the black borders are kind of overpowering the actual design here. Again, I wanted to get that illusion that you're looking out the window and you see the balloons outside, which is why I picked this black border. But it doesn't have, there is some black threads going around the balloons, right? But it doesn't have a lot of black, so it's not really a coordinating color. But I thought maybe, you know, just grab one of these. Maybe instead of doing the black border, I should pick either a beige or a white going around. So I wanted to ask you guys, because I value your opinion. So I really want to ask, do you guys think that I should change my borders to be a white or beige border, or should I stick with the black? I really like the black because I love how the white thread really pops and you can really see it. So if I were to change it to either like a beige or tan or a white, I would probably use black thread in order to showcase the motif. So let me know in the chat, what do you guys think? Should I keep this with the black border, or should I change to a different fabric and just redo the borders with a different color? Let me know, because I'm a little iffy on it and I didn't want to tack it down and sew it because I wasn't too sure on it. So so I wanted you guys to kind of help me out here. Let me know what you think about this before I kind of finalize it. So I see Robin says she likes the black. Jenny says she agrees. Okay. Okay, yep. Awesome, awesome. Okay. What about navy? LA Garrity says, what about navy? You know, I didn't think about navy. But I don't want it to clash, like, I don't want it to blend too much with the background fabric. That might be an issue, and I guess it would depend on the type of blue that I find. If it's too dark, it may be okay, but I might play with the navy to see what that looks like. Crafting Robin says, I like the black. White or beige may be too light. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking too. I wasn't sure about this, but I did have it. By the way, if you have a local Walmart and you like the Waverly fabric, which I think it's a pretty good, nice fabric to do little projects and stuff with, they do have this. Oh, Donna says the black really makes the brightness of the blues and whites stand out. I like the black. Okay. Okay. But the Waverly fabric that you guys have here, this fabric, they have it in Walmart, and they had a bunch of them for some reason on clearance. So you can get it pretty cheap right now. I saw a couple of them, you know, that I was able to kind of pick up. But yeah. Donna said, I think the black brings your focus to the sky and the clouds. Okay. Okay. So I really was not sure, and I was having a hard time deciding if I was going to kind of leave it or not. But yeah. So I've had issues this week, and this was one of them that I just couldn't make a decision on, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna ask you guys, see what you guys think. And if you like it, then I'll go ahead and leave it, and then I'll just do some binding on the edges once I get this in. So now, this was not one of my only issues this week. I've had all kinds of issues, even in my craft room. So my mom's water heater decided to not work anymore. And so she was without hot water for like, I don't know, maybe 3 days. And it was just like, oh God, gotta get her that water heater. Finally got that in. So I had that going on. So it was a lot of like in and out things to do, you know, so she's happy now. She has hot water. And yeah, it's definitely, definitely something that is a challenge between work, home, trying to keep up the channel stuff, and then keeping up with my mom. But that was an issue. So issues everywhere, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. So one thing I wanted to show you, if you guys didn't see last week, because we did talk about this last week. Last week we looked at making chenille pot holders, and so we made these last week. Really neat. I kind of did a little bit more. I kind of like how it feels now, so it's pretty neat. You can keep playing with it, and we talked about a tool that you could use by Clover. It's called the slash cutter, that you could get as well. Pretty neat because it helps to make the cuts so that you can make your own chenille. But check that out from last week. I just wanted to remind you guys it's out there. If you didn't get a chance to see it, just take a look because it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the black, and that says maybe a yellow border. Yeah, Jackie says picking fabric is the hardest thing. Yeah, it can be. It can be. And usually I'm not too bad, you know, with finding the coordinates and stuff. But for some reason, I think it's the clouds that kind of threw me off. And for some reason, the look that I really wanted to have on this wall hanging. And I just couldn't decide. And so I will go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave the black fabric. Seems like everyone's okay with it. And so we'll stick with that, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the borders as soon as I can and get that going. So what's our topic this week? We want to talk about borders, and specifically we want to talk about satin blanket binding. So if you've ever used, they have these all around that you can buy, and there's different brands. You've got one from Hobby Lobby, Sewology, which is a blanket binding, and let me just give you a close-up of that. And then you also have in Walmart, you can buy, this is the Right brand, it's satin blanket binding. But it's a really pretty binding, very soft. It's satin, obviously, but it can be a little bit of a pain to work with. And so I'm going to just show you that. You can see here how it looks. It's very silky, soft, slippery is a big, big thing with this. Very, very slippery. Now, this binding is folded in half, and you can probably just make this yourself. You don't necessarily have to get it. But if you wanted to get like the satin binding, you can make little baby blankets and things like that. And all this is, it's just right here, 1, 2, 3, about 4 inches, and it's folded in the middle. So you've got a nice 2-inch border that you can put on your blanket. Now, working with these satin bindings can be a little bit tricky because they are so soft and slippery. It is pretty difficult to kind of keep it in place for you to be able to get your fabric in the right place and stitch it down and hold it while you're sewing it. So I'm going to show you some of the challenges that I've had because I tried to put this together. Now, mind you, I don't know if I told you guys this last week, but I was having some issues with my sewing machine. My brother, I have an HC 1850, had it for years and years and years. Love the machine to death. It's a nice little workhorse, and I'll bring it over in just a minute. But it's been giving me all kinds of problems. And clean the machine, check the upper tension, the lower tension. I rethreaded the needle. I checked the bobbin. I even bought a new bobbin case and replaced the bobbin case because, you know, after a while, those bobbin cases, there's only so many times you can twist and tweak it, right? I just decided to get a new bobbin case. They're really actually pretty inexpensive. I think it was like $14.99 on Amazon for a new bobbin case. Let me see if I have them. Oh, here we go. Here's the bobbin case that I bought. Well, this is the old one, actually. The new one is in the machine. But, I mean, it's not in too bad of a shape, right? But I tried everything else. It just was not working. I was getting skipped stitches. I was getting a lot of bird nest on the bottom of my projects. And I rethreaded the machine about 1,000,000 times. There was nothing wrong with the threading. The bobbin was fine. One thing you want to make sure is that you're using the correct bobbin for your brother machine. So I did want to point that out. When you get your manuals, and this one is the Brother HC 1850 manual, there is the section, and it does tell you, caution, only use the bobbins that are made for this machine. People think of bobbins and they don't realize there is a difference. So these brother machines, like this specific model, uses an 11.5 millimeter bobbin. And it'll show you the difference here between the actual size of the bobbin that it uses versus a regular bobbin. Right? So other machines or other models can use different size bobbins. So be very careful when you buy bobbins for your machine and make sure that the bobbin that you're getting is one specifically for your machine. So there's different ones that you can get, and you want to make sure that you do that. So, oh, Donna says, I store my bobbins in separate containers, well labeled. All my machines use different size bobbins. Yeah. And what I did, and I'll kind of show you, when I purchased my bobbins, like I got a whole big box of them. And so what I do is I label them. And so you'll see here it says Brother HC 1850. And so I know that these bobbins are specifically for that machine. And you can see them. Let's see if I can get this open. I have used quite a few, but these are the bobbins. And when you look at the bobbins, sometimes, you know, they all look the same, but they're really not. And you do need to make sure that you're using the right bobbin. So I knew I was using the right bobbin because I did buy it. I did check the manual. It tells you which ones to get. And I made sure that I got the right bobbin. So I knew my bobbin was okay. My threading is okay. But for some reason, I think there's a mechanical issue going on with the machine. It is a pretty old machine. So I'm going to take it in to see if someone can take a look at it for me. It's a relatively inexpensive machine. That machine, I think it goes for, I know, between $250 $300 now. I've had it for so long, and you know, it's a workhorse. I really love it, especially making bags and things like that. But for some reason it's just been giving me problem after problem after problem. So you know, I did all these things. Again, first thing you want to do is pull out your manual, Check the troubleshooting guide in the back to see if any of those things relate to what's going on with your machine. That doesn't work, you want to just clean your machine. Make sure there's no dust, because it really does impact your progress on those machines. So Donna says, I find different suppliers, even supposedly for your model machine, that can be a little different. No way of knowing with online purchases until you receive them. Yes. Yes. And that's why, you want to go specifically to your manual. Like, it does tell you part code SA156, and it has all the codes on there. Because even if you're looking in Amazon, let's say, for a bobbin, and you type in bobbins for, let's say, Brother sewing machine, it may have it, but if that model number is not listed in your manual and it's different from what they're selling, I won't buy it. You want to make sure that the model number or the part number is correct. Because they all look almost the same, but they're really not. And so you want to make sure that you are picking the correct bobbin that goes with your machine. So, did that, got the bobbins, rethreaded everything, cleaned out the machine, a lot of dust in the machine. I do use my machine a lot, so I'm constantly cleaning the machine. And I did a really thorough cleaning on it. Took a couple of hours, just really made sure that I got all of the lint and the dust out. Not just where the bobbin is, but you also want to dust off where the needle is, where the sewing feet is one that you also want to check. Just making sure that your lint is gone, dust is gone, because it really does impact the performance of your machine. So once I've done all of that, I tested it again, and I'll show you guys. I think I had it somewhere here. It was just not cooperating with me, and I will see if you can see this. I'm trying to find one, maybe the second one here. It's going to be a little difficult to see. But right where I am tapping that line, you can see where it's doing a zigzag stitch, and then it kind of stops. Or actually, you could see it in this one probably a little better on this end here. It's doing the zigzag stitch, and then it became a straight stitch, and then it started doing zigzag again. I didn't change the setting for it to do that. It just started doing that on its own. And so you can see even here, I've got straight stitch, straight stitch, straight stitch, and then zigzags. So it was really odd why my machine was doing that. So I'm definitely going to take it in. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to have an industry standard on bobbins and other crucial parts? Yeah, it would. It surely would take the confusion out, I could tell you that. The condition and size of the needle makes a difference in the stitch quality. It does. Oh, Annette says, thinks it happened to another person and they said something about blurs. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it's, it's hard to tell. I did everything that I could, cleaned out, did all, and I'm getting behind on my projects, so it's a little frustrating, but I'm going to try to bring it in and take it to the doctor and get my little baby all fixed up, because I definitely want it back. So I'm not able to actually show you how to do this, but I wanted to kind of talk through the process, because I did attempt to do one, but it didn't come out really well, because you can see where it went from zigzag to straight stitch and back to zigzag. So I wasn't very happy with that. So this is just some fleece, and I'll kind of lay it out here. So this is a really nice soft fleece fabric that I had in my stash. And then I wanted to go ahead and put the nice border on it. So again, I'm not happy with how this came out, but yeah. Maybe the motherboard is going out or malfunctioning. Could be a computer issue with your machine. Yeah, and actually, Donna, I think it's definitely a mechanical issue because I've gone through everything else. It's got to be a mechanical issue in there. So I don't know. I don't know what they'll tell me, and you know, I'm not going to overpay to get it fixed, so I just may need a new machine. Who knows? We'll see what they say. I really love this little machine though. I've had it forever. And you know, when you know your machines, you know where all the gadgets are and the gizmos and what you can do with it. You don't want to give it up. So you got that little love-hate thing going on with it. So I don't know. I'll find out. I'm going to take it to the sewing doctor and see what they tell me. So I'll let you know what happens. I do have my other, I have the SC1900. I do have it set up to embroider. And usually I kind of leave it for embroidery because I do a lot of embroidering and sewing. So usually I have it embroidering something while I'm sewing something. So I kind of have both machines going on. But yeah, that's not going to happen. So I may have to, depending how long it's going to take for them to fix this, I may need to convert the embroidery machine to be my sewing machine in the meantime, which is fine because I like sewing with that machine too. So, you know, we'll see what happens. So again, I'm not crazy about how this came out. And I don't know if you guys can even see this. Let me see if I can get it close to you guys, where you can see it's doing zigzag and then it's doing straight stitch. Almost looked like it was a design, but this is not a design. This was this was actually the, you know, sewing machine doing its own thing. You could see where it's got the zigzag and then it just kind of went into a straight stitch. So I don't know what's going on. We'll get that fixed. But anyway, let's talk about this binding, because there is a good way to do it. And there's a lot of different ways that are out there, and some of them I think were just so complex. Like, it doesn't need to be that complex. So I'm going to show you a simple way of doing it. And let me just kind of fold this up a little bit. And let's get to that. So fleece fabric is a wonderful fabric to do like a baby blanket because it is very nice and soft. And then this satin binding that you can put really makes it nice. What's really great about this is you can also embroider the person's name on here and then, you know, kind of put it together. So it's a really quick little gift that you can do. You can even kind of make a couple of extra ones on the side and just kind of keep them on the side. Maybe a pink one, a blue one, a yellow or a green one, you know, and you can have them ready to give as gifts. So really, really neat. Really nice. Okay, so we're going to kind of demo, because I do have another type of fleece here. I have this fleece here. It's a lighter fleece. So you don't have to get them, because you have those minky fabrics. I kind of try to stay away from the minky. Minkies have a way of just getting all over the place. Now, I did learn a tip when we were in Sarasota about cutting minky. And that's going to be part of a video that's coming up. With everything going on, we haven't had time to really edit, but in that video, we talk about minky fabric and the best way to cut minky fabric so it's not all over the place. So that's a really good one. But for the fleece, you've got this heavier fleece and then you've got this lighter fleece. So if you're living down here, like I'm in South Florida, so it's pretty hot. and you don't want to have a really heavy blanket on the baby. So this is a really nice light fleece that you can do with the border. And I did have a purple one that actually would go nicely with that. So there's different kinds of fabrics that you can do with this. But one of the things you want to look at, now you can get bindings from all over the place, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, your local craft store. But one of the things that you'll want to look at, which is really nice, is you'll want to notice that when you buy the binding and you kind of start to unravel it, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, you will notice that when you're looking at it, they are not exactly folded edge to edge. You're going to have the top side a little bit shorter than your back side. Okay? What that is telling you is that shorter side that's here, this is your front side. The longer piece is your back side. And the reason they do that is so that when you are attaching your binding to your actual fabric, you typically will do a zigzag stitch. Some people will do a decorative stitch. But the idea of having a shorter side in the front and a longer side in the back is so that when you do the zig and the zag, you're making sure that you are capturing that front part of the ribbon and the back part of the ribbon. And it's going to be sewn together in your project. Whereas if you would have this as the same length, you have that bulkiness of the fabric that you're using. So if you're using that fleece that's a little bit has more width to it, right? It's a little bit bigger. You're going to eat up a lot more space on that fold. And so your back side of your fabric may come under. And if that happens, when you are sewing from the front, you may not capture that back side. So you're going to end up with a little hole. So the idea is to have the back side a little bit longer than the front side. And it really makes a difference when you are sewing. It really helps for you to be able to capture, especially if you're doing the zigzag. You will make sure to capture that front end and back end and be able to sandwich them together with the fleece or the fabric that you have in the middle. So, oh, Judy says, hold that purple up to your balloon quilt. Just to see. Okay. She wants me to hold up the purple against the balloon. Let's see here. Kind of hard to do this here. There you go. Now you may... I think the purple won't work though. Right? Even if I go this way. Yeah. Yeah. Donna has so many. I have so many little trivia tips that helps us so much. Oh, always learning something good. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Never thought about why one side of the binding might be wider. Yes, and you may want to look at that because I've had some binding strips where it does not have that. And I've researched, you know, why are some like this and some like that? And that's through my research, that's what I was able to find out, that the shorter side is supposed to be your front side and the longer side is your back side. And that is the intention of that. And each manufacturer, you know, does it a little bit differently, and some don't do it at all, is to help you really be able to get both pieces of that binding inside your fabric so it really sandwiches it in, which is really nice. that's really great because it really does help. Because you can't see the other side as you're sewing, and so it won't be until you finished probably the entire length of your little blanket, and then when you flip it over and to look at it, you're going to see holes because you may not have captured it. So some other tips, let's look at some other tips to making sure that you get your binding right. So how would you go about it? This is how I kind of did it. First of all, you don't start off right on the corner. That's a big no-no. You don't want to do that because you're going to have a lot of bulk trying to fix how to miter this corner. So when you're starting off, you're always going to want to start off a little bit below the corner, or you can be in the middle. I mean, it's up to you as to where exactly you want to start. And what I like to do is I'll go ahead and fold. Just do that quick little fold right from the beginning and then fold that over, right? Because this is just going to hide the raw edges, so I won't see any raw edges there. And what you're basically going to do is just take, and it's going to be a little difficult because it is satin, it is very slippery, and then on top of that you're dealing with a fleece, you know, so it takes some patience and some maneuvering to really get it going. But once you have it laid out, I will open it up and I'll try to do this way. So I will put my fabric down, and I want to make sure that I am getting it to the very, very edge of that fold. And you want to lay this out on a nice flat surface. Let me just move this out of the way, because the flat surface will really help you be able to lay it out nicely. And then what I do is I go ahead and I will close it, and I will feel for my fingers around the edge here to make sure that I feel that fabric. If I feel a little bump, then I know, you know what, my fabric is not on the edge. And so I'll open it up and give it a little nudge, right? Just to make sure that it's there where I want it to be. Once I've laid it down and I have it where I want to be, some people go ahead and they take some pins and they pin it. This is satin. I wouldn't recommend pinning it because I don't want holes on my satin. So what I prefer to use, some people, they've got tons of these. You've got your little basic clips that you can use. I prefer to actually use these jumbo clips. And so the jumbo clips, I think, really help. And so what I'll do is I'll take, and you can use the little ones too, but I think the jumbo clips really clamp it down and hold it together because it's such a large binding area. I will take my clips and I'll just go ahead and clip them like that. So it's really chomping down and taking the entire binding and holding it together for me. And so I'll do that all the way down. And I'll clip those. Now, you could, and depending how large your blanket is, you maybe don't want to clip the entire thing. You may want to just kind of clip a little bit, go ahead and sew along this outer edge here, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, depending on the look that you want to get. Doing either the zigzag stitch, or if you want to use a decorative stitch, you can do that too. All right. And then once you've gotten past your clip, you may want to just stop your machine, then go and start to open this again and, you know, just kind of reorientate the fabric inside the binding to make sure that it stays nice and secure. Now, when you get to your corners, what I do, I will go ahead, get my little pointer here so you guys can see. When you're stitching down that 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch all the way down, I will take this all the way to the end of my fabric. Once I've done that, you can open this up, and because you've stitched it here, this is now kind of tacked down for you. And so I will take my border here and my binding, and I will open it up. And you'll see, because you have that fold in the middle, you line that up nicely with the edge of your fabric going this way. So once that is open, all right, you're going to have your fabric now going this way, and now your binding is going like an L shape, right? You're going the other way. And so I've laid it down across, and I have this nice 90-degree angle, which will make my mitered corner right here, right? So now all I have to do is just hold on and make sure that you got this lined up so you've got that nice 90-degree. Hold on to that, and then all you're going to do is go ahead and do the fold on the other side. And you want to take a peek on the other side, and all you're looking at, don't worry about the end here. We can fix that later. Where you're really concerned is where you are going to be sewing. You want to make sure that you're going to have that L shaped also. And so that's where I would hold it, is right on this end here. And then I will go ahead, and if you can clip it, this is where maybe the smaller clips, you know, might be nice to have because it'll be kind of out of the way, and that'll chomp it down. But I like to just kind of hold it with my fingers until I get to the machine. And then once I get here, I have my nice 90-degree angle here, and that's all I care about right now. Making sure that I'm on the fold. I've got this nice and flat. I've got my fabric inside all the way to the edge here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew. Right, I'm just pivoting, and now you will sew all the way down, doing that same either 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch or decorative stitch that you decided to use. That's going to tack all of this down. It's still going to leave this open, but now it gives you the opportunity, because this is satin, it's kind of easy to manipulate a little bit here to make sure that you get that corner that you want. And so you're able to, because this is now tacked down, you can now kind of go in with your fingers and kind of maneuver it until you get the look that you want, and you have that nice little corner. Once you have that, then you can go back, and if you wanted to go ahead and stitch that down, you can, or you can just hand stitch it, right? But that's how you'll ensure that you're going to get a perfect mitered corner in the front as well as in the back. And even if you don't get it exactly, because this is satin, you're going to be able to maneuver this and move it around until you get just the right corner. And you still have the opportunity to go in and tack down the other side, or just go ahead and sew diagonal to get that perfect mitered corner. So there's different, techniques that you can use to get that. Now, there are other ways of putting your binding and getting that perfect corner. There's other things that you can do, measuring it here and making your little marks with your pens, and then, sewing the diagonal line. I just found, for me, this to be the easiest way to put this together. So if you want that perfect mitered corner and you want to be able to do it pretty quickly, I think this is the easiest way that you can get it, and you'll get it every time. Other tip that I can tell you on here is that if you have selvage on your fleece and you're doing this type of project, don't cut the selvage off. Leave the selvage on, because that selvage is going to be tucked in to the actual binding, so no one's gonna see it, and it just gives you that little extra blanket, right? So once I do this, you can see that here. You can't see that. The selvage is inside, and you're not going to see it. So, you know, if you cut it off, you're going to make your blanket a little bit shorter. So if you want to save on that, you know, you don't have to cut that selvage off. You can leave it on and then just, you know, bump it up inside your binding, and then go ahead and do your little mitered corner. Make sure you've got that 90-degree point that you want to hit, and then just fix it with your fingers and tack it down. So you've got that nice mitered corner on your blanket. Okay? So that's the technique that I wanted to kind of show you guys, so that you understand when, you know, when you're working with this. It is a little difficult. It is slippery. It is, you know, a lot of patience, a lot of maneuvering that you can do. But I think for me, this was the easiest, by just worrying about this inner stitch here, and then go back later and, you know, kind of use your fingers to bring out that point. And then you can either hand sew it, or you can go back and you can sew on the diagonal, however, you know, depending on the look that you want. You can definitely, you know, get that going. So that was a little tip that I wanted to show you. Now, once I get my machine back and hopefully I'm back up and running, I'll be able to show that to you and actually do it with you live. But I think you guys at least get the concept of working with this silky, satiny, slippery type of border. It can be tricky, but you can definitely do this. So Donna's saying, who is going to be joining the sew along? Well, members, today we're going to be having our sew along, so I hope you guys tune in today. We're also going to be kind of launching the patriotic quilt song, and this one's a really special song. I think it's really beautiful. I just love the song, but I've heard it about 1,000,000 times myself. So we're going to be introducing that to you guys today, so I'm really excited for you to hear that. And that's going to be in our CrafterNoon CD Volume 2. If you don't know, we have our CrafterNoon CD Volume 1 is out there on available for purchase and download. If you want, just check out our shop. But we'll be unveiling another new song that's going to be on Volume 2. We're getting very, very close to finalizing that, so we're definitely going to have that out to you guys soon. So members, yes, I can't wait to see you guys tonight. We're going to be doing the sew along. We're going to continue with our block, and we're going to really bang out a lot of it today. So I hope you guys are ready. So Nancy might come home from the repair shop with a new machine. That's tempting, Donna. Don't tempt me there. Judy says, grab the Kleenex. Yes. It's a really sweet song. I love the song. I really do. It's one of my favorites. So, yeah, you may want to kind of grab the Kleenex. Maybe. I don't want to give too much, but I will definitely see you guys tonight for the sew along at 7 p.m. So tune in, and let's see. And I think I had one more thing for you guys. Let me just make sure. No, I think that was it. Okay, awesome. Robin's Coat, you're ready. Awesome. I'm glad you're ready. Have your fabrics ready to go. I'll be sharing some tips with you in regards to the ironing and all of that. So Annette's asking, what's sew along? Annette, if you join to be one of our members, we have different tiers, tier 2 and tier 3. We are doing a sew along, and I can show you the block. I think I still have it here somewhere. Oh, actually I have it on the bottom. Give me a second. So I can kind of show you what it looks like. This is what we are making here. And this is actually a block that we are sewing together. And it is a block from our little box, which I don't. Oh, it's the Quilt Builders card block. I don't have it with me here. But it is something that we're putting together and we're sewing together, and I'm sharing tips, tricks, and we're all doing it together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to join, go ahead and hit that join button and then join us because it's not too late. We're really going to get started. I hope everyone is able to join and has your fabrics ready. You're going to need about 4 different fabrics, about a yard each, and we're going to be cutting and putting that together today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you can join. Alrighty, thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. If you're a member, I'll see you tonight. And thanks again for tuning in, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
Nancy with GiftsHQ makes crafting videos, creating with passion and a love for what she sews. Crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. Your talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her art. Her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far.